Dear students, welcome back to our next session where we're going to take one more step ahead from where we were in the previous session. Yes, we're going to discuss today about resource mobilization. But before we understand resource mobilization, I think it is important for us to understand where are we right now, where are we coming from, and what did we learn in the previous sessions. Let's just recall. Let us think about it. Yes, we started from understanding the process of entrepreneurship. We started to understand who the person is entrepreneur. What are the functions? What are the qualities? What are those aspects that entrepreneurs have? And what do they do? How do they start an enterprise? And we understood what MSME, medium, small, micro, small, and medium enterprises. Now, understanding all those aspects, we understood that there is something called, what's it called? That's called environment. We understood what is environment. We understood what is required in terms of setting up an enterprise. We also understood that who are competitors? How do we know who we are, where we are, what are our strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats? We moved forward from there and understood a lot of analysis to validate that what we're doing is right or not. After doing that, which included the analysis of your financials, analysis of your customers, analysis of your environment and the business, all those analyses make us understand that what product do we make. Once we've done all those things, now it is very important for us to move ahead and now utilize all the information we have gathered so far. And that information we will be using in terms of resource mobilization. So first of all, we need to understand what is resource in a business. What do you think could be a resource? Think about it. Okay, let me move you forward from here. Okay, when it comes to resource mobilization, resource could be anything. We used to call it M. Men, material, money. We used to call that manpower. Men and manpower are the same thing. So the first resource that we're going to talk about is called finance, which is obviously that comes. The money makes the mayor go. So why is finance important? What is the role that finance plays in terms of resource mobilization? As an entrepreneur, besides having just an idea to actually set up an enterprise, we need to have some more resources, and the most important or the first one is finance. Now, what does finance do? Obviously, from planning stage to execution to everything, to marketing, to sales, to production, to delivery, it's finance, isn't it? So finance is a very important factor. Now, it's very obvious and understood that you need basic initial investment, isn't it, for any business to run. So finance is required to start an enterprise. Now, where do we get this money from? Family, friends, loans? So we'll have a bit more of depth into that. Then that's initial capital where to start a set up an enterprise, and then we have a capital to run the enterprise. That means working capital. What do you mean by working capital? That means money that you need to operate day-to-day activities. So that's called working capital. Now, obviously, we have understood by now that money plays a major role, which is very obvious. But how much money? Where do we get from? Who will give you money? Will financial institution agree with your ideas? If yes, how? Now, is there any government policies and procedures? What are different things that are available for you to support your business or enterprise or setting up the business? Okay. Now, we know very well that when you are setting up an enterprise or business, it's like a baby, right? So you need some time for your baby to grow. That means you need to give proper food and nutrition to your baby to become healthy and grow, and then come back and support and work for you, or even for that matter plants. you put a seedlings, they're very, very tender and fragile and gentle, and you support the plants by watering them, taking care of strong heat or winds and whatnot, and then give them all the nutrition they require before they start giving you fruits. Now, in terms of a business, it's very similar analogy, but what over here is different, that we can get finance from friends, family, different sources. Let's look at what is the financial planning and how do we manage our finances, which is the next part. Though you have done this topic in block 4 of in your course, that you have dealt with financial planning and the management of finances. So to reiterate that, how do we get that? As an entrepreneur, it's very, very important for you to actually do a financial forecast. So a financial forecast, as the name says, forecast, that means before the time you predict things, right? So forecasting is not just predicting, it's a mathematical calculation. You take into consideration the previous experiences, you take into consideration the trends, and then you look at what would be the capital requirements. You look at what will be the working capital. So one is the initial capital, second is working capital. So then we look at it, how will that capital be working out? That means, are you going to have what structure of the capital going to have? So then comes your credit policy. How much credit are you going to give or take? And what are the financial institutions that you will be involved in? And just in case if something goes wrong, what are you going to do? Isn't it a lot of questions to answer? And especially in case of finances, a lot of questions to answer to how to manage finances, how to run the show in terms of that is a bigger resource that any business will require. And for sure, an entrepreneur who has just less experience in running the show may have some issues. So what do we need to do in terms of that? Maybe you need to seek some support. Now, obviously, because you have taken the responsibility as an entrepreneur, so problems are normal. They are okay to be there, right? Now, the good part is that in running a show as an entrepreneur, you actually work on how to resolve the issues one after another. They come in and then you resolve it. They become part of the normal routine, right? Now, in case of financial resources, or how do you find those resources, or how you source your finance, you can be having your own money with you. Yes, it's called own capital. Or, as I said, that if there is any financial institution like bank to support your business, you take up their plan, you take your project plan, get rid of them, show them this is what I want to do, this is my idea, this is how I want to execute my idea, and based on that, they may have some terms and conditions and they may lend you money. The other sources which are always there for you are your friends, your relatives, or any other sources that you may have personal connections that you may get borrowing from. There are some loans also. It's called term loans, or financial institutions. They give you loans on such as personal loans. That's another loan. And they can give you assets like national savings certificate or insurance policy, provident fund, whatever you may have. You can get money to support your business from there as additional support. Now, that comes here as in finance to support your business, right? Now, it is always has been a you can say initiative by or a planning by your entrepreneur to make sure that there is never ever a shortage in the finances. It is because if there's a shortage in the finances, imagine you're just going to open your travel agency and now you do not have the money to pay the rent for the first month. Now, this cannot happen because till now you took a decision to open the agency, you did the research to find out if that's going to work or not, you identified the opportunity, you scanned the opportunity, you worked on it, you assessed the opportunity, now you are here setting up a travel agency. To set up a travel agency, you took the permissions, you got the structure of the building where you were having internet, computers, all those things have been done. So now you say that I don't have money to pay 1 month, next month's rent. No, you must have those things in the budgeted plan before even execution is done. So all those things must be in place for an entrepreneur. This is a very, very important aspect. Now, then comes working capital. First was investment. So rent is a working capital. Yes. So we must have that. And obviously, to make sure that is having you, sometimes it is not necessary that you may have all the expertise. What do you mean by that? What I'm trying to say is, at times I may not actually 100% know if this is the best way of moving ahead. Why can't I take the services of a professional? Isn't it? I can take the services of a professional and they will charge me some money for sure, but they will also save me a lot of money so that I can do my, I can focus on more important aspects rather than just trying to struggle and find out how can I find the ways. And never know, they will give me ways to find out how can I get the money out. All right. Now, you also need to very, very importantly, very closely understand how much interest are you paying on your loans or borrowings. Because if you're paying more interest, whatever you're earning will not be coming back to you for a long period of time. So your return on investment will not be there. So again, it's not really a good way to do a business when you're not really getting any returns on the investment. Investment comes as a monetary investment. Investment comes as plant and machinery. Investments also come as your personal investment of time, of energies, of expertise, and whatnot. Okay. Now, also, we need to understand that how much time will that take if you're taking money from any financial institution? How much time will that take the money to come down to you so that you start using that money, the liquid cash? And for how long this money is coming to you? That means if they're giving you a loan for 6 months, that you start returning in 6 months, that means, okay, so you have to make sure that you're ready by 6 months' time or 1 year and whatnot. Or is there any government subsidies or rebates and whatnot? So do you have the capacity to pay back in 6 months or start paying installments in 6 months? So what are the various conditions they have put you on your finances and the funds that they're giving you? So this was the part where you have to be very, very careful how you borrow, how much you borrow, from where you borrow, when you borrow, how do you return back, and how can you return back. So all those questions needs to be actually answered before even taking the loan and that part of the plan. Okay. We understood the finance. Let's look at the next important aspect. Who is going to work for you? Manpower. Very, very important for a business to have the right person, at the right time, with the right skills, isn't it? So we need to have the manpower, right? Now, how do we get the manpower? How do you, how do you get someone to work for you? Now, I understand that lots and thousands and millions of people work and they work and there's a trend and whatnot, but each business is different, right? So they have their own set of rules and regulations. So you need to know, first of all, how many people do I require, right? What levels do I require? What work will they do? What qualifications will they have? What skills should they have? What actions will be they doing? If they're staying for 7 hours, 8 hours, or 4 hours a day, what will that be indoor or outdoor? So if there be any sort of training that you need to provide them, or they're okay without training. So all those questions, they're there with you. Are there any special labor laws? Are there regulations that you need to follow when you appoint someone? Is there any contract? Is there any wage structure? Is there any policy for the recruitment? Is there any superannuation that you need to put in their accounts? So what is going to happen in next few years' time for the manpower? So obviously manpower is the one which runs the show. And you may have finance, you may have set up a travel agency, but you don't have the right person who's sitting at your reception. Whenever there's a phone call, he or she picks the phone and responds in a very rude way. All your investment, all your money that you invested in, all your time that you invested in can just go in vain, and you may get a bad name immediately, isn't it? So it's again a very important aspect that you need to understand and need to work on. Okay, now we understood the finances, we understood the manpower, right person and all those things. What next? Nowadays, technology, isn't it? IT, which is immersed in us, isn't it, on everyday basis. So what technology do you need to run your show as an entrepreneur? especially in hospitality and tourism. So for sure we need internet. Everyone needs the internet, isn't it? There's hardly anything that you don't need internet. Even your mobile phone needs internet, isn't it? So if you're having a tour and travel or business that you need to start with in a different niche that you need to start, you still need to have understanding what's going around the world, what is happening, communicate with your customers, potential customers, marketing, sales, promotions, email communication, whatnot. You ask is there, isn't it? Any contingencies, issues, that it's already there. Do you think technology is only required at the initial stage? No, it requires all the stages, but the decision to how much is required, what stage is required, is taken earlier. Okay. Now, obviously, as I was saying, even if you open a travel agency, you have to make your presence felt and how you're fulfilling the need of customers. So you need technology, you need internet, you need marketing, and you need to plan, and all those requirements is done through your technology, which is your computers, your pads, your mobile phones, your cameras, whatever business you are in. It is a part of the show, I would say. So technology is nowadays very much immersed in us, and it goes hand in hand nowadays. It's very, very imperative that you have the technology with you right now, because the world is leading where your digital technologies nowadays. Digital, you can say tourism it's in practice, very much in practice. At the fingertips of your thumb, you actually can book a ticket to hotel, to fly to whatnot, to food order, or to Uber, or to hotel accommodation. Everything is there at your palm. So obviously you need to have the technology very much into the business. So, but number one, to decide what technology do I need at this stage, how many of them I need them, how will I use them, who will use them, how much will they use them, would I be needing any electricity or energy to use them, anything that will be, how much cost is involved in using this technology, is there a particular brand, is there any discounts, is there anything which is long term and short term. Things may look very cheaper, but they may not go long term. That's another part that we need to have. So all those decisions in terms of technology needs to be taken at the very first stage when you're making a planning stage. What I'm going to do, there might be some alterations, but this is very important consideration in terms of when you are taking a decision. Now, there are some other aspects that need to be considered when making plans, because an entrepreneur must understand and realize that your business is going to be covering or fulfilling the needs of the customers, right? So if you're doing a business anywhere, you must keep in mind that you must understand and take into account what location are you serving, what organization structure would you be following, and what are your responsibilities towards the destination or the host population or the environment. Because in tourism, this is very, very important aspect for us to understand that what is the destination going through, what is the carrying capacity, what happens to the local population when there's a lot of overcrowding, and how can we save our environment. So all those aspects are going to be discussed a little bit in more detail. Let's take the first one, the location. As an entrepreneur, obviously you have a very vital, important role in decision making to make sure where are you going to have your enterprise or business, where do you want to start and operate. You need to know about the locals. You need to have a lot of considerations when you take this decision, such as you need to understand your personal factors. What are the family conditions, what are the individuals where you're going to work, how are they look like, what are the geographical conditions in terms of how far and close it is, does it fulfill the need of the customers or my clients, how many people are already operating in that area, are you going to have enough people to work for you if you require, and would you get the raw material that you require for your business all the year round, or it is going to be expensive, cheaper, whatnot. You also must consider the environmental factors that impact your business. Obviously, Don't forget the locals and the cultural values and customs. Are you going against the cultural values and customs? Are you fulfilling the custom, or you're in line with the cultural values and customs? I'll give you one example over here. Have you seen the ad of Coca-Cola? I have seen this ad of Coca-Cola. The ad of Coca-Cola in every country differs. Yes, it differs in every country. I don't know about even every state, but every country differs. I still remember I used to sail on the merchant ships, and when I used to see, I have seen this Coca-Cola ad in India, and when I used to see ad in the Gulf countries, so the what's it called? The girl who used to have proper full dresses to respect the local, in Saudi Arabia, you can't have, your female, you can't have your, what's it called, more of the body parts showing. So they respect the religious requirements. And then I saw the same ad in Australia, it was different. I saw the same ad in US, it was different. Number one, they had local celebrities. Number two, the ad was a bit different, adjusting to the local environment. So that's exactly what you do, is in terms of you have to make sure that you are fulfilling the local values, cultures, and customs. Then you have to understand what are the conditions of the market. Where am I operating? Am I operating in Asia, Africa, Europe? Where am I operating? Where will I be operating and moving forward to? Let's say if you're operating in north of India, south of India, east of India, west of India, what are the conditions? What are local laws and taxation requirements working in different states, one state? And what about the local population? Very, very important. The community and the destination of the host population. So is it a lot of people already there, and it's a lot of overcrowding, and people are already, local destination is not happy, and locals are really opposing? Should you be starting something over there, or should you be starting, or this should give you an opportunity to start something which helps locals? Okay, now then comes very, very important aspect is political stability. I was actually reading one of those notes over there, where it was written that 1975 until 1975, when there was a Vietnam War, the Vietnam was actually into, obviously it was war conditions, so there was hardly any tourism. So after post-Vietnam War, the tourism picked up like anything, and in recent last 20-25 years, Vietnam has done such a great job in terms of investment from all over the world. Now, what does it mean? Till the time there was political instability, Vietnam could not actually grow the tourism. Once there was a stable political situation, the tourism started developing. Now, obviously, as an entrepreneur, you will not like to go and invest somewhere where tourists are not going to come, or my business is not going to flourish. So you need obviously peaceful atmosphere, and you need to be accessibility that you need to reach over there so that you can do your business. Okay, this is very, very another important factor that we must consider. We are humans, and we work. When we work, we need systems in place so that it's easier for us to delegate work and get the work done. That means if you in a business, you need to have a person who can give orders, and then he has certain area of work he works at. Then he has, let's say, a CEO may have two of those directors supporting them. Then maybe after directors, maybe there will be two head of the department, three head of the departments who will be heading one department each, and there may be 8 supervisors, and there may be under 8 supervisors there may be 30, 40, 50 people working, right? So there's a hierarchy, or there's a structure. So each person sitting at one position has not just position name, it has got certain responsibilities and duties, and also certain powers to delegate or take some actions. Now, this is called organization structure. Obviously, it is very important for an entrepreneur to make sure from very beginning to set up the structure, what level, where the decisions will be taken, how will the decision be implemented, and if you are doing by yourself, how you're going to work on. Usually, initially, it is just one-man army, or maybe 3 to 5 employees at the maximum, but at the same time you still need to have a structure in place. Now, because that is very important for accountability, for responsibilities. So obviously, it's, if you look at the tourism as an entrepreneur, it comes to us as a responsibility to take care of the destination, because that's where we're going to earn our bread and butter. So we must take care of the environment, we must take care of the host population, we must take care of the destination itself. So when there's a healthy relationship between the community and the business, obviously it's a win-win situation for both, and it's a friendly environment for any business to grow and prosper. Now, I would like to come back that and like to say over here in conclusion that, when you have all the considerations, an entrepreneur should develop a project report or a business plan. So in a project report and a business plan, it should be descriptive and giving all the details in terms of how the business will operate. There's something very important that we call mission, vision, and value statements that tell us where do we looking at as in the future, what are we doing right now to achieve those long-term objectives, and what are we doing short terms, and obviously how we as an organization behave. Now, what happens is it's not just about aims and objectives that come over here, but we also look at in terms of a business plan. We look at estimates, marketing, planning, execution. A lot of things are involved in terms of making a business plan, because that guides us through all the way then when you're doing a business. So what I would like to do now in the end, I like to reiterate what we did in today's session so that we understand and more better that how a business is required in terms of resources are required when you run the show. Okay, the first thing which we understood was the resource mobilization was the finance, how finance is important. Where can you get this finance from? Family, friends, financial institutions. But when you get these finances, we must understand that we need to make sure that how much interest rates are there, when are we going to return those finances back, how long, what are the terms and conditions, what are the different taxation laws. So all those conditions in finances we must understand. We also must look at in terms of finances is that where are you picking these finances from? How much, what are the government policy on that? Am I going to get some discounts or contingencies? As government supporting me over there, is that what is actually capital structure? What is debt equity ratio? So there's a lot of things that we could do that we studied in our financial part of it. Then also we looked at like where could we get those finances. Then we understood about the working capital and investment capital, the capital that we initially invest in plant and machinery equipment, and then the capital that we need for running our day-to-day operations. We look at what different rates and how could we repay. Then we understood the next part, which was manpower, that how it is required, when it is required, how do we get it, what are different conditions that will be requiring in terms of managing or asking someone to work for you, and how to have contacts and whatnot. Thirdly, we looked at technology being immersed, as I was saying that nowadays it's all mobile phone, everything is in by hand, that we understood that use of computers, internet and whatnot. Now technology has gone much beyond than expectations. Then we had to understand, we did understand that how it is important to have the right location and organization structured, and how do we have the responsibilities toward the destination as an entrepreneur. So in the location, we looked at that what is the geographic location, what exactly, how much is the competition going on, and what are the market conditions and the laws and whatnot. But in terms of organization structure, we looked at the hierarchy, we looked at how the power is distributed and decision making, which is there when there's a hierarchy. And obviously it comes to the responsibilities. We looked at as an entrepreneur, it's a responsibility of us to take care of destination, because this is where we're going to get our the whole business from in terms of tourism. And in the last, it is that the business plan is very much important, and the business plan is going to be the one which is going to do and which is going to bring us an overall report, and that report will help us in making decisions, and then that report will help us as a guide. So thank you so much for today's session, and I'd like to see you in the next session. Hope you enjoyed the session. And I look forward to into the next session. Thank you so much again. Have a good day.